Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be showing you my entire drugstore makeup collection. So get a snack, get comfortable. This is probably going to be a very long video. I have done other collection videos in the past, but normally it's just been eyeshadow palettes. But I thought it'd be fun to just show you everything. And I normally do this off camera once a year or maybe twice a year just to take some inventory and figure out what I have, what I'm going to keep, what I want to declutter and things like that. So I just figured I'd take you guys along with me this time, and if you enjoy this and you'd like to see an indie brand version with brands like Colourpop and Juvia's Place and BH Cosmetics, Sydney Grace, that type of thing, let me know and I can do that as well, or a high-end version too. But today we're just going to focus on the drugstore products. And speaking of drugstore makeup, if you like that and you like dupes and saving money on beauty products, definitely don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you do, I'd love for you to let me know in the comments below. Just say I subscribed and I'll go ahead and say hi and welcome you to the channel. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump in and get started, and I'll meet you guys back here at the end.
All right, guys, so first up we have my primer, foundation, and concealer drawer. So I'm going to pull all of my drugstore products out and we'll take a closer look. So first up, let's talk primers, and the first one I have is the number 7 Skin Illuminator. So this one is such a nice primer. I feel like this is a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. It's a really, really good one. It's very smooth, and it does have a little bit of sheen when you put it on your skin. It's like a golden sheen, just like the Charlotte Tilbury, but it's not glittery or anything, so it looks so smooth on your skin. This is an awesome dupe for that one, so definitely check that out if you've been looking for a dupe. Of course, we have the L'Oreal Magic Perfecting Base. This is my number 1 primer. This is the one that I keep in the bathroom that I use every single day. So I feel like a lot of these do get neglected because this one is just so good. But it has like this really nice whipped texture to it. It's really thick like spackle. So like if I put it on these pores right here, look how it just makes them go away. Like it just smooths out everything so easily. So that's the reason that I love this one so much, and I heard they were discontinuing it, so if that's true, I'm going to be really upset. Next we have the Milani Peach Glass Skin Primer. I tried this back over the spring, and I really haven't reached for it that much. It has a really thick, kind of greasy feel, so you know, just with the summer and the humidity and everything, I haven't wanted to reach for it, but I think in the wintertime it'll be really nice and hydrating. I also have the L'Oreal Age Perfect Blurring Face Primer, and this one kind of reminds me of like a thinner version of the Studio Secrets. Like if I just put a little on, you can see it has the same pink color, and it does have a really nice blurring effect, but it's just thin. And to be honest with you, I love the spackle. I love the thickness of the original, but if you don't like something thick sitting on your face, you might like this one a little bit better. It does do a really great job at blurring. And then we have the NYX Marshmallow Primer, and this one I got thinking that it might be similar to the L'Oreal, but it's not really. I think this one is similar to this one, the Age Perfect. It's maybe slightly thicker than that, but I was hoping that it would blur a little bit more than it does, and really I still prefer my L'Oreal Studio Secrets. I think this one is nice. It does have a heavy scent though. It has this like really nice marshmallow scent, which smells good. It smells like cotton candy, but I know some of you guys, if you don't like fragrance, you're not going to like it. It's pretty strong. But I do think this one also has a little bit more moisture than this one does. So there's definitely a trade-off. This one might be a good option in the wintertime. And then I have the Flower Supernova Celestial Skin Elixir. This one isn't so much of a primer in terms of blurring, but it is a really nice kind of dewy primer that really makes your skin look glowy before makeup. So usually when my skin is looking extra dry, because this is an oil and it's really hydrating, I put this on when my skin just looks really dull and I need a little something extra under my foundation, and it's beautiful for that. So I really love that one. This one is technically a primer, but it's a tinted primer, and it does have quite a bit of color to it. So I often just use this on its own if I just want like really light coverage. I'll show you guys just quickly. It does give quite a bit of color and coverage. So just if I want like a tinted moisturizer type situation, I love this one because it also blurs your pores at the same time and just makes everything look really smooth. And it's super inexpensive as well. So that one's really nice. Then we have the JOA Blur Activator Mineral Primer, and I've talked about this one in dupe videos before because it's a perfect dupe for the Hourglass Veil Primer. I'm just going to show you guys the texture really quick. It's super thin. It looks identical. Even the color, it's super silky. It feels weightless on your skin, and I just think it's the perfect alternative to the Hourglass one because they're so similar. And another dupe that JOA makes is the Glow Activator Radiance Primer, and this one is a dupe, let me just grab the other one here, for the YSL primer. They are almost identical in terms of the feel, and both of them have those little gold flecks in the formula. I mean, I can't tell the difference between these two at all. So if you like the YSL primer, I think it's like $50. Check out the JOA one. I think you'll get the same exact result. All right, so now that my hands are nice and greasy, let's move on to foundations. So first up, we have the CoverGirl Simply Ageless Instant Wrinkle Blurring Pressed Powder. So this technically is not a foundation, but I use it as a foundation because it is incredible. I actually have an entire video just dedicated to this. And having dry skin, I usually steer very clear of powders, but at the time on TikTok, this one was going viral and I couldn't find it anywhere and I really wanted to try it. So I found this one instead, and I'm so glad because this one I absolutely hate. Just spoiler alert right now, I really don't like that one. So this one is fantastic, and I'll just show you really quickly on my hand. I use the little puff that it comes with because I find you get the best coverage, but even on dry skin, this looks so amazing. It just goes right on top of your skin, gives really nice coverage, blurs everything, and it doesn't look cakey or powdery. Like you can just see the coverage that it's giving my hand, and it just looks so smooth. It never looks powdery. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. So definitely check out that video if you haven't already, because you can see me applying it in natural lighting, no filters, no anything, and you can really see it, how it performs on my skin. So next up we have the Flower Beauty Get Real Serum Foundation. I'm sorry this is such a mess. I don't know why this happened. I feel like it's leaking, but I really like this one too. You can kind of see from the bottle, you have to shake it up a little. It's very thin, really lightweight, and it doesn't give a ton of coverage, but on my dry skin, it looks amazing. Usually I have to use a concealer with that one just to add a little bit of coverage underneath my eye area and around my nose, but when you want something really light coverage that looks just like skin, this one is beautiful. Also, we have the Milani Hydrating Skin Tint. So this one, just like the peach primer that I showed before, is very thick, very, very greasy. I think the formula is 29% squalane. So like I said, it's really hydrating, but I'm going to stick to using this more in the winter time. I just can't with the humidity. My skin goes from being dry to a little bit more normal, and I just feel like this is sticky in the summertime. So I definitely prefer this one in the winter. Next we have the e.l.f. Camo CC Cream. This one is really nice. I feel like it's a good dupe for the IT Cosmetics one, but I really like this one even better because it doesn't have that sheen to it that the IT Cosmetics has. It's really nice coverage. It doesn't look dry on me either. Another amazing one, if you happen to be lucky enough to have a Dollar General store near you, I don't, but this one is the Believe Beauty Skin Finish Foundation. It's $5. And it is one of my favorite foundations. I have the shade Nude. It's like the most perfect medium coverage foundation. It looks good on just about everybody. Like everyone who's reviewed this, even with different skin types, they just love it because it's very lightweight and it doesn't settle into fine lines and pores. It has a really skin-like finish. Like it really just looks like your skin but better. So it's a fantastic foundation. If you can find this, I highly recommend it. Next we have the Maybelline Perfector 4-in-1 Glow Makeup, and I did review this a while back and I'm not a fan. I like the Age Rewind concealer from Maybelline, but this one, it just really didn't do anything for me. It's super light coverage, almost to the point of being non-existent, and to me it just almost acts more like a glowy primer, but
The description says primer, concealer, highlighter, and BB cream. And I think it's more of like a primer slash highlighter or a highlighting primer than a concealer or BB cream because it really didn't cover anything for me. So for me, I'm probably just going to declutter that one. Next, we have the Neutrogena Hydra Boost Hydrating Tint. This is another huge favorite of mine, especially in the summertime. It just gives a really nice light coverage, similar to the Flower Beauty one, but I feel like this one almost like plumps up my skin a little bit more. Sorry, this cap is really dirty. I just love the texture of this one because it's almost gel-like, and when you rub it into your skin, it almost feels like it's bursting with water. Like it just feels like you're giving your skin a drink of water. It feels so good and so refreshing. And I just feel like it plumps up my skin nicely and makes it look less dry. So I really love that one. Next up, we have the L'Oreal Skin Paradise Tinted Water Cream. This is also a really nice tinted moisturizer. There's not too much I could say about it, but it actually reminds me a lot of this one, which I was going to talk about next anyway. And I mean, these two are really, really similar to me. They give nice coverage, not medium. I would say like a light to medium coverage. They feel kind of like skincare or like a moisturizer. I mean, they're just basically like a BB cream. So again, I think these are nice choices if you do have drier skin. Then we have the Essence Pretty Natural Hydrating Foundation. This is a very solid dupe for, let me just grab it, the Urban Decay Hydromaniac. And I did talk about this in a dupes video a while back. These feel identical when you put them on your skin. And the Pretty Natural from Essence actually comes in quite a good shade range for Essence. Usually their shade range is terrible. And I think it has great coverage. I was expecting a tinted moisturizer, and it gives almost medium coverage, but still that skincare-like moisturizer feel. So this is up there with one of my favorites for sure. I also love the number 7 Match Made foundation drops. This is a great option to customize your foundation. So for example, if you have something like the Flower or maybe the Neutrogena and you want a little bit more coverage, you can put a drop or two of this into that and just make it a little bit more full. I also, the way I like to use this best is with my L'Oreal Studio Secrets primer. I'll scoop a little bit of that out of the jar, put it in my hand, and then put a couple drops of this, and I make my own tinted primer. And I love doing that with this. I just think it's the perfect combination because that primer makes my skin look so smooth, and then this gives it a little bit of coverage. So this is just a really versatile product. And then we also have the Wet n Wild Bare Focus Tinted Hydrator. This is another good one, really similar to the Essence. I feel like it has great coverage, more than I was expecting. It lasts the entire day on me too without breaking up or sinking or settling into lines, and it feels really nice on dry skin as well. And also the JOA Perfect Complexion BB Cream. I feel like there's so many that are just really similar. This one is again very similar to the Wet n Wild, and the Essence, it has really great coverage and the same type of feel. It's just really moisturizing, really hydrating. So then last but not least, we have the Infallible Fresh Wear from L'Oreal. This is just one more reason why I don't really trust the hype on TikTok. Maybe it's because the creators over there are so much younger than I am, but they almost never work for me. So this was another one that I think I'm definitely going to declutter along with the Maybelline. So if I had to choose my absolute favorites from this pile, I would definitely say the CoverGirl, the Believe Beauty for sure, the Neutrogena, the Flower, and probably the Essence and this one. I don't know what it is about this one that I like better than these two, but there's just something intangible. I don't know, I just feel like my skin looks better with this one. So anyway, those are the foundations. Let's move on to concealer. Okay, so my drugstore concealer collection is super small, and one of them isn't even really concealer. So the reason for this is just because I got rid of all of the formulas I didn't like. These are so good that I feel like I just don't need anything else. I do have a couple of high-end concealers as well, which you'll see if I do a high-end version of this video, but these are just the ones that work the absolute best for me. So we'll start out with my favorite one, and that is the JOA Truly Yours Dark Circle Concealer. Hopefully it'll focus on it. There we go. I honestly wasn't expecting much from this one when I first got it. It has this little sponge tip applicator, which I'm not the biggest fan of. Hold on, let me just move these because it keeps wanting to focus on the stuff in the back. So like I was saying, I wasn't expecting too much out of it, but it has great coverage, and on top of that, when I put it on my under eye area, it somehow just smooths the skin out even more than before I put it, which is so weird because usually concealers will make fine lines under your eyes more apparent, but there's just something amazing about this. It's so thin, it's almost undetectable, yet it brightens super well. The only thing I'll say about it is that it doesn't have high coverage. So there are other ones I like for a little bit more coverage, better than this one. But normally on a typical day, I just want a little bit of brightening and a little bit of coverage. And this is absolutely perfect for that. And my other two favorites are the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define and the Milani Conceal and Perfect. I feel like these two are very, very similar just in how creamy they are, and they're really hydrating. They don't settle into the fine lines underneath my eyes, and they don't look dry either, which I feel like happens so often with concealers when you have drier skin. And then last but not least, not a concealer, but this is actually a color corrector. And I don't necessarily use this as a color corrector under my eyes because I find that it's just too thick. I prefer the Becca one for that, or I also have one from Beauty Pie, which is a really good dupe for the Becca. Those are better underneath my eyes, but this one is perfect for the corner of my eye, and I've actually done a video on this as well. It's kind of hard to explain here, but my eyes kind of droop down at the sides and there's a little fold of skin there, and what I do is I put this on that and it camouflages it perfectly. It makes my eyes look more upturned and just more awake. So I swear by this and I use it every single day just for that one little purpose. So this is something I've repurchased multiple times just for that reason. All right, guys, next up we have my little tower of blush, and pretty much this entire thing is all blushes down to the bottom, but I do have them separated by drugstore and high-end and also cream and powder. So I'm going to grab the powder ones first from the drugstore and then we'll do the creams next. Okay, so when it comes to powder blushes, let's start with, actually, these are probably my favorite, the Flower Beauty Flower Pots blushes. So they did recently come out with a few new shades. I was very, very excited about that because these just have the most gorgeous formula. If you like a really blendable blush that isn't super pigmented, you can easily build it up. These are fantastic. So for example, let me just show you this one color, Spiced Petal, which is one of my favorites, and I just love how silky they are. They blend just seamlessly into your skin. They don't look powdery, and they last a really long time as well. So these are definitely a favorite. I also have this Flower Beauty Pyramids blush, and to be honest with you, this one intimidates me. I don't use it very often because it is insanely pigmented and insanely glittery. So the few times that I have used this, I went outside and was like, oh my god, it's really like a highlighter because there's a lot of glow there. I think this would make a beautiful eyeshadow, but for me, not so much a blush. I also have one of these CoverGirl True Blend So Flushed blushes. They really don't come in that many colors, so I have the shade Love Me. There was like a really bright orange one and a bunch of other colors, but I just thought this one looked pretty. I do like it. I don't know if I love it as much as their old Cheekers formula. I thought this one was really good. It's just okay. It's a good blush, nothing I think super special that jumps out at me though. And then next up we have the L'Oreal Age Perfect Radiant Satin Blushes. I really like these. I think, again, kind of like the CoverGirl one, I don't feel like they're super special. They're not ones I reach for all that often, but they do look really nice on drier, more mature skin types, I feel like, because they don't look powdery, kind of like the Flower Beauty ones. And to be honest with you, I think they're really similar to those old Paradise Enchanted blushes that they used to have. I think these were scented and I believe they've been discontinued, but they come in very similar packaging. Now they're just geared more toward their Age Perfect customer, but I feel like they're a very similar formula just to the older ones. Next up we have the Rimmel Maxi blushes, and these are actually really nice blushes. I don't hear a lot of people talking about these, but they are so smooth as well, and I really love this formula a lot. I can quickly show you a swatch of this one, Wild Card. This one's one of my favorite shades, but it's really deep for me, so I have to go very easy with it. But it's just such a happy, fun color. I love it. I think it's gorgeous. Next up, we have the Essence The Blush. These are another blush that is super good, especially for the price. They're, I think, $2.99 each, and the pigmentation on them is incredible. I have pretty much all the shades. I think the one that I wear the most is probably either befitting or bespoke. I think, no, this is believing. This is a really beautiful kind of mauvey blush. And let me just show you the pigment on these because, wow. Like, look at that. I have to go easy with these as well because they're very pigmented, but if you like a more pigmented blush, they're beautiful. And again, just so smooth, easy to blend, easy to work with. I love these guys. Next up are the Physicians Formula Butter Blushes, taking up almost this entire row right here with the chunky packaging, but they are a really nice blush formula. They're really creamy, really soft. Again, if you have drier skin, they just sit really nicely. The only issue with them I have, I guess, and honestly, I don't even have an issue, but a lot of people do, is the scent because they have that coconut scent that the butter bronzers have. So it's pretty strong. And I know a lot of people are not a fan of that. So between that and the big chunky packaging, you know, they're not my favorite blush, but they're pretty good. And then the last ones in this row are the Hard Candy Silk Blush. And I have two shades. I have a shimmery one and one that's matte. And to be honest with you, I was a little disappointed in these. I felt like they were very powdery. You can actually see in this one just like all the powder sitting on top. They're not as smooth as some of the other blushes in my collection. So not really my favorite. I would probably declutter these at some point. Okay, so moving on, we have the LA Girl Just Blushing blushes, and these are really great too. I hope they still make them. I think I saw them on the Ulta site recently, and also I think you can get them on LA Girl's website too, but these are, again, very pigmented, and they're only a couple of dollars. They're really inexpensive. I have all the shades, or just about all the shades. I have 3, 6, 7, 8 shades, but one of my favorite shades is Just Playful. It's just a beautiful pinky nude. So I'll just show you what that looks like. And they're so soft. They're really, really buttery and creamy. So that one is just a beautiful nude. I love that one. This next one I almost hate to show you because you can't get it anymore, but this is the Hard Candy Glow All the Way blush in Living Doll. And I miss this so much. I wish they would come out with it again. I bought this one. This was the second one I've ever owned. I owned it years and years ago. And then when I saw these going on clearance, I bought another one because I was afraid they were being discontinued. It's a gorgeous baked blush. It just gives your cheeks like this really light pink, glowy wash of color. This one was definitely a favorite of bloggers back in the day. Everyone talked about it, and it's just nostalgia for me, so I keep it for that reason. Next up, we have the CoverGirl Cheekers. I have the shades Rose Silk and Soft Sable. I feel like those are really popular colors from this line, but these just have a nice formula again. I feel like I want to swatch everything now. These are just an underrated formula. I know Emily Noel does talk about them a little bit, but they just have like a hint of glow. They're so pretty, honestly, and just very subtle. So if you don't want a super overpowering blush, those are really nice. I also have these Found Baked Illuminating Blushes. These are wonderful. They have such a nice formula, very similar to the Laura Geller ones or the Milani Baked Blushes as well. This one's probably my favorite. It's Pink Glow. And I just think a baked formula looks so nice on drier skin types. And also they just end up looking really smooth on your cheeks too. So I really like these. I think you can only get these though at Walmart. Then we have the e.l.f. Primer Infused Blushes. These are also gorgeous formula. They remind me a lot of the Bare Minerals Gen Nude Blush. I feel like they're a pretty close dupe, and they are one of the smoothest blushes in my collection. They're so nice. I have two shades, Always Cheeky and Always Rosy, and they're just gorgeous. Also from e.l.f., I have these really glowy blushes. I don't know if they still make these, but this is Radiant Peach and Brilliant Mauve. I have no idea why this is called Brilliant Mauve and this one's Radiant Peach. I feel like these are switched around for some reason, because that is definitely not a mauve. It looks more like a peach to me, but that's really weird. Anyway, these have a lot of sheen to them. Let me just show you really quick. So if you like kind of those blush highlighter combo, I think you'll really enjoy those. Next up are the Almay Healthy Hue blushes. These I've talked about many times in videos. They are such an amazing formula. I usually overlook Almay at the drugstore, but this is one that you do not want to miss. They have just an incredible formula that I honestly haven't seen at the drugstore. I don't know if it's baked or what, but they're the smoothest blushes I think in my entire collection. They have a lot of pigmentation and they just make your skin look extra smooth and they kind of melt in almost like a cream, but they're a powder. So these are beautiful. I definitely have to pick up more shades. That color that I just swatched was nearly nude, and I also have pink flush. I think it comes in 4 shades altogether, so I definitely want to get the others. All right, guys, here's my last drawer of powder single blushes, and first up we have all of the Milani baked blushes. This is another one of my favorite formulas from the drugstore just because they're so smooth and really forgiving on drier skin. They also all have a little bit of glow. Some of them I would say even have some glitter, which are not my favorites, but this one's one of my favorites. It's Berry Amore. And the color is just so stunning. So I have just tons of different colors of these. Another favorite is Luminoso. This one's a classic, and it's again got a little bit of luminosity to it. And I feel like this is probably the most popular one. Next up, I also have the Milani Rose blushes. These have been around forever as well, and some of these that I have are actually really old, and I should probably replace them. I think this one, Blossom Time Rose, is probably the newest one that I have, but I would say my favorite shade is probably Romantic Rose. I use this one a lot. Coral Cove is beautiful. It's just so pigmented that it's too bright. I have to really like watch how much I use with that one for sure. And these also have a very nice formula. They're actually almost creamy for a powder blush, which is weird. But yeah, this one is kind of a barely there color. Super gorgeous. Next, I have these Essence blush lighters. I'm not sure if they still make these. I've got these a while ago now. I have Coral Sunset and Nude Twilight, and these are really pretty as well. They just have some shimmer over on this side, and then this side is more matte, so you can kind of go in the middle and catch just a little bit of the shimmer, or you can stick to that side and just use it as a matte blush. But these are so pretty. I think Essence, again, just has a great blush formula overall. This one I just got from Catrice. It's their Cheek Lover Oil Infused Blush. I did use this in a video, so if you search for this blush and then just put my name, Jen Phelps, you'll be able to see it. And again, this one is more of a baked formula. It's really beautiful. It has a little hint of a sheen to it also. These new blush duos from Believe Beauty I just showed in my Sunday haul, and I swatched them. I have the shades Risky Business and Second Chance, and they're just so pretty. They have a matte blush on one side and a highlight on the other, and again, you can mix them together if you want to, but these are around $4, so really inexpensive. Then I have 2 of the Burt's Bees blushes. So if you're looking for a more natural formula, these are 100% natural ingredients, I believe. Yeah. I have 2 shades. I have Shy Pink and Bare Peach. Shy Pink is really beautiful if you like a more cool toned pink blush, but look at how creamy they are. They just pick up so easily, and they're a beautiful formula. I think very underrated for sure. They're not super overly powdery, and they actually have really good staying power too. I never hear anybody talking about those. And then last but not least, I have the Catrice Blush Box in 2 shades, Glistening Pink and Nude Peach. These claim to be waterproof and sweat-proof. I honestly haven't used them much, so I'll have to try them out a little bit more and see how I feel about them, especially now in the summertime. It's been really hot here and super humid, so I could definitely give these a good run and see how they are. So anyway, guys, those are my drugstore powder blushes, and now let's go ahead and check out the creams. Okay, so when it comes to my cream blush collection, I have some cream blushes and also some liquid blushes. So let's start with the creams first. I think those are probably my personal preference as far as the ones that I reach for more often. I just find them to be a little bit easier. But first we have the Milani Cheek Kiss blushes. I have, I think, pretty much every shade they come in, and these are my favorite by far. I think out of all my cream blushes, I think the formula feels so high-end. I love how much product you get, and also just they feel really creamy, but they're so easy just to blend on your cheeks. They dry to a powder finish immediately, so they're not greasy or sticky, and they don't lift up your foundation underneath. So I just find these to be so easy to work with. They're really easy to blend out. You can build them up to whatever you want. This shade is Merlot Moment. If I had to pick a favorite shade out of all of them, the one I probably use the most would be Nude Kiss. This one right here, I think it's just like a very easy to wear color for my skin tone. Some of these can get a little bit bright, a little bit deep, and I have to go sparingly, but this one is just, I think, the easiest for me and the most complimentary. Also, we have Believe Beauty at Dollar General. These cream blushes are also a fantastic formula, and these are under $5, just like everything Believe Beauty. And they have a very similar texture to the Milani. They feel almost the same. So they have that emollient feel at first, and then you put them on and they just blend right to a powder finish. I love this color, by the way. I don't have this color in any other cream blush in my collection. It's called Doll Face. And the other one, which is more peachy, is called Tropical Sunset. They're both really, really nice. Next up, we have the e.l.f. Putty Blushes. These are also a favorite formula. These also dry down all the way, just like the Milani ones. They have a little bit of a different feel. They're a little stiffer, I feel like, but just as easy to work with, in my opinion. They almost have a moussey texture to them, and they're not quite as pigmented. So you might have to build these up a little bit more, but I do really love the finish. I love the colors that these come in as well. So these are great. Next up are the Flower Beauty Gel Crush Lip and Cheek. So these come in little sticks, and they do have more of a gel formula than the others that I was just showing, but they also dry down most of the way. These don't completely dry down, so they do stay maybe slightly tacky on your skin, but not enough to bother me. And they also don't move your foundation around. I didn't find that to be the case. These do have a little bit of a scent to them. It's kind of like a fruity scent, so I just wanted to put that out there. None of the other ones that I've shown so far have a scent at all. And then the last ones, as far as the creams, are these Physicians Formula Natural Defense Multicolor Sticks. I have two shades, Natural Rose and Soft Pink. These are also a very nice formula. They're super soft and easy to blend. They don't move your foundation either, and they dry to a powdery finish, which I love. This is the lighter one, Soft Pink. And then we have the Rimmel Jelly Blush. This one isn't really a cream or a liquid. It does kind of have a jelly-like feel. It's very strange. It's kind of like Jell-O, where it looks like a solid, but then you touch it and it kind of like jiggles a little bit. And it's actually really neat. I don't hear anybody, again, talking about these. I feel like Rimmel just doesn't get enough love, but look at how pretty that is. This is actually making me fall in love with this blush all over again. I haven't used it in a while, but it's a gorgeous color. It's a really nice formula. Again, something that dries down all the way. And this shade that I have is called Cherry Popper. Not a big fan of the actual shade name, but the color is really pretty. The formula is really nice. All right, so just gonna clean off my hand, and then let's take a look at the liquid blushes. The first one I have is the NYX Sweet Cheeks Soft Cheek Tint, and this one is in the shade Nude Tude. And I really love this a lot. It reminds me of high-end blush formulas. It's so beautiful. And this color is just stunning as well. And it does have a soft, moussey formula, so again, not sticky in the slightest bit. The Flower Beauty Blush Bombs are another great one. I do have all of the different colors that they come in. They have gorgeous colors, and these are kind of more like a serum type texture. This one's called Cinnamon, which is kind of a nude, and they remind me a lot of the Glossier Cloud Paints. They have a really similar feel to them. And kind of like the Flower Gel Tints, I do think these don't dry down completely, but they don't stay sticky enough to bother me. So they're a little bit more on the dewy side. Then Milani also has a Cheek Kiss liquid formula. I have two shades, Nude Flush and Rose Romance, and these are also a fantastic formula. I think I like these a little bit better than the flower ones, just because these do dry down all the way completely. But other than that, I do find them to be very similar to the flower ones as well as the Glossier. But again, I just like that they dry down more. So that's just a personal preference thing for me. And then CoverGirl has these Clean Fresh cream blushes, and these actually remind me a lot of the new Bite Beauty cream blushes because they have a little bit of shimmer in them. So I'll just show you that quickly. These are not my absolute favorite cream blush formula either. They do dry down, which I like, but I don't know if it's the shimmery finish or what, but I don't reach for these quite as often as some of my other ones. But they are really pretty, especially if you like a bit of sheen to your cheeks. And then these Revlon cheek flushing tints, I don't think they make anymore, which I'm really, really upset about because I loved these. I'm not a huge fan of all things Revlon, but this was definitely something that they did right. These came in two shades. We had a bright pink and a bright coral, and I just loved these. They had a really water light texture to them, and they almost left like a little bit of a stain behind. They were just so, so pretty. So I'm very sad that these aren't around anymore because they were one of my favorite products that Revlon has ever made. And then the last two cream blushes that I have in my collection are ones that if I wasn't a YouTuber, I would have decluttered a long time ago, but I keep these around because sometimes I like to do comparisons or talk about, certain things maybe that I didn't like. And these would be that. This Cheek Heat from Maybelline. I thought these were too sheer. They hardly showed up. I had to pile them on just to get them to show, and then they felt really, really sticky. And these Physicians Formula Organic Wear Dewy Blush Elixirs, they just felt too sticky. And I feel like I'm alone with that because so many people raved about them on YouTube. I just don't like them at all. So, like I said, I hang on to them just for video purposes, but I don't wear either one of these. So when it comes to creams, if I have to pick my favorites as far as the liquids go, the Milani Cheek Kiss and the NYX Sweet Cheeks, and then maybe the flower ones like in third place. And then when it comes to the creams, the Milani are definitely top of my list, the Believe Beauty and the e.l.f., I think. So anyway, now let's move on to cheek palettes, and then we'll also do bronzers and highlighters. Okay, so as far as drugstore blush palettes go, I do have one cream version, and I have this one from Pixi, which I just got very recently. It was a collaboration with Louise Rowe. I did show this in a video, and I have been absolutely loving this. It has like every shade of cream blush you could ever want. You can use these on your lips as well, just like the Milani ones that I really love. These dry again to a powdery finish, and they're just so easy to work with, and the colors are absolutely stunning. So really excited about this one. Then as far as powder blush palettes go, I have these little blush up palettes from Koki. I really love this one. It's called Demure, and it has those really cool tone blushes. Super, super pretty. Let me just show you a swatch. They also have like some brighter versions. There's ones that are a little more nude. This one is more peachy. So they do have a really nice range. From e.l.f., I have the Total Face palette, which I believe they don't make anymore. I'm so sad about that because I really loved this one. I got a lot of use out of this. It doesn't really look like it, but this is actually years old. And I loved that it had a highlighter, two blushes, and then this light bronzer, which was really good for my skin tone. And the powders were just so silky and smooth. I really wish they would bring this back because it was such a pretty palette. I also love these little bite-sized face duos from e.l.f. We have the highlight on one side, a blush on the other. I think the formula is great on these too. I actually have a whole video on these where I try on every single color on my cheeks, so I'll link that up above in case you are interested and want to see that one. Next, we have the LA Girl Blushed Babe and Island Hottie palettes. And these really I don't use very often. I don't know why. I think they're really pretty. This is the Blush Babe one. I don't remember being like super wowed by the formula of these. I thought they were just okay. I mean, yeah, they're not like the most pigmented blushes in the world. That's fine for me, but I think if you need more pigmentation, you probably wouldn't like these. And then we have Island Hottie, which is more peachy and warm. That one's really beautiful too. Next is the Catrice California in a Box. This is a bronzer and blush palette, plus there's a highlighter as well. So you have your two blushes up here, two different bronzers, and the highlight. I think the formula is nice on this, really silky smooth. And again, not the most pigmented blushes in the world, but I think these are okay. And then from Flower Beauty, we have this trio. It's called the Lift and Sculpt Contouring Palette. And we have a bronzer, blush, and highlight. And this is that amazing highlighter formula like that's in their highlighting palette. It's so smooth and gorgeous. This blush is also super nice. And then the bronzer, I really like the color of this one too. And then we have the Milani Rose Blush Trios. I got these at Walgreens. I'm not sure if they still have them there anymore, but I know they're on the Milani website. They have two different versions. So we have Flowers of Love, which is that one. And then this one is Floral Fantasy, which is a little bit warmer and slightly deeper. So anyway, guys, those are my blush palettes. Let's go ahead and move on to highlight and bronzers. Okay, so these are my drugstore bronzers, and let's start out with my favorite, and that is the Flower Beauty Heat Wave Luminous Bronzer in the shade Sunrise. And I also have the Sunswept shade, which is a little bit too warm for me. I much prefer this color for my cooler toned skin. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. And this color is just perfection. It's not super, super cool toned, but it's just neutral. It's just the perfect brown. I love it so much. And even though it says it's a luminous, I don't find that it has glitter or shimmer. It's just like a little hint of a sheen. It's more of a satiny formula. So this is the one that I use nearly every single day. This is my go-to right here. I just love that it has a baked formula because it just sits on my skin so nicely. Another favorite would have to be these Milani Silky Matte Bronzers. I think these are an awesome formula as well. I do have the lighter color, which is Sunlight, and this one, it's just a little bit warmer. And then Sun Kissed is shade number 2, and I like this one just a little bit better because it's a little bit more cool toned. So these are a fantastic formula. I'll just show you this one really quick, just to compare it to the flower one. I feel like this is even just a little bit cooler than that one. It actually makes the flower look warm in comparison. But yeah, this one is a pure matte. So if you're looking for more of a matte finish, then I would go with the Milani one because it's amazing. Also, the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer is another favorite in the shade Bronzer. It's a really good color for me. Again, I just think with the smell of this one, if you're sensitive to fragrance, this is really strong. I usually can smell it when I open up the drawer of bronzers, even though it's closed. So just wanted to mention that. And the new Physicians Formula Matte Manoy Butter Bronzer, I'm not a fan of this one at all. I think the color is kind of a yellowy bronze, which isn't super flattering on my pink tone skin. And also, I'm not a big fan of the smell of this one. I actually like the scent of this. It has the coconut. This one has like a floral coconut, which is a little tiny bit like headache inducing for me. So I'm going to have to probably declutter that one. I just got it recently, but yeah. And then we have the Found Baked Bronzer, and this is in the shade Golden Bronze. This is another baked formula. And I just think Found is another one of those really underrated brands that nobody really talks about. But I think they have good stuff. This one is a little bit warm for me, I feel like. So I don't really reach for it all that often, but I do like the formula. So if you like a warmer bronzer, this one's really nice. e.l.f. also has their primer infused bronzers. We have Forever Sun-Kissed and Perpetually Tan. This one is way too orange for me. This one is a little bit orange. It's not too bad, but again, I just think the flower one and the Milani are such a perfect bronze color that I don't really reach for this one, even though it's a nice formula. One that really surprised me was this one from Makeup Revolution. It's their Bronze and Glow Duo. And this actually has a highlight in it as well, but this bronzer is such a beautiful color, and I really like the formula too. I think it's a nice cool tone. It's great for my skin tone. Again, it's not a super deep bronzer, so just keep that in mind. But this is a great dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood or Film Star Bronze and Glow, I think it's called. It's almost identical when you swatch it out. I did show that in a dupes video a while ago, and I was just really impressed with this one overall. I also have 2 shades of the Maybelline City Bronzer. I have shade 100 and then shade 200. And these are just a little bit kind of on the yellowy side, so they don't really go with my skin tone all that well. So I usually don't reach for these, but they are a nice formula. The Hard Candy Matte Bronzer in the shade Maui Matte. Not my favorite either. I just think this hardly shows up at all, kind of like the Hard Candy blushes. I'm probably going to declutter this one just because I never use it. These Believe Beauty marbled bronzers I just got very recently on my trip to Dollar General when I was in New Jersey, and I really love these. I think, which one was my favorite? I think it was the Golden Sienna. And this formula is so silky and beautiful. Let me just swatch it down here. Yeah, like you can see, this one is definitely more of a neutral to cool tone, and I really love this a lot. This Kokie matte bronzer in the shade Sunlit Peach, I should actually move this over with my blushes because it's very orangey for a bronzer, and I was almost going to declutter it. I saw someone on YouTube saying they use it as a blush, and it really is a gorgeous blush color. So I should move it over because I keep forgetting to wear it since it's in my bronzer drawer. But the formula is beautiful as well, and it's like a really huge size that's going to last a long time. And then last but not least, we have the Rimmel Jelly Bronzer. Again, something that nobody's really talking about. This is in the shade Paradise. And it has that same kind of jelly texture that firms up and kind of gets like jello a little bit. I'm not even really sure how to use this one though. Like with the cheek one, I just kind of tap a little bit on my cheeks with my finger, but I'm not really sure how to use this. And I think even if I wanted to, it's a little too warm, I would say. So when it comes to bronzers, my favorite, definitely number one for the Flower, number two, Milani, and probably the Butter Bronzer at number three. But the more I use this Believe Beauty one, the more I feel like this might actually kick this out of third place. So we'll see. All right, guys, so here's all my drugstore highlighters. I have a lot more of these than I actually thought I did, especially since I'm not really a big highlighter person. I don't wear it all that often, but I definitely keep these on hand just for review purposes and comparisons and things like that. So I just want to go through some of my favorite formulas and the ones that I tend to use the most. So first up, we have these Pixi highlighter duos. These are called the Glowy Gossamer. I have two different ones, and I actually just showed this in a recent underrated products video because I think these are truly underrated. I don't hear a lot of people talking about them, but they are just so fabulous. They're this baked formula, and they are one of the smoothest highlighters. I don't want to say the smoothest because I have a couple that are like this, but I mean, just look at how shiny they are with no glitter or sparkle. And that's, I think, what I love most about these, because I'm not really a big glitter person anymore. I was in my younger days, but these days I'm just looking for a little bit more of a refined glow, and these definitely give it. They're super intense, but yet they don't have the glitter or shimmer, and that's, I think, a hard combination to find. Also, the Flower Beauty Shimmer and Strobe palette is another one that's pretty similar to the Pixi. They're just, again, like super, super smooth highlight. Even more smooth, actually. Look at that. Aren't those insane for the drugstore, especially? I mean, I don't even have high-end highlighters that are that smooth. So I just think this Flower palette is incredible. If you like an intense highlight, definitely check this out. Another formula that I think is great, and again, it comes from Revlon, which is not one of my favorite drugstore brands, but in this case, they're amazing. The Skin Lights Prismatic Highlighter, this one in particular, which is called Daybreak Glimmer, is an exact dupe for the ABH Amrezy highlighter. I actually showed that in a dupe video, and it's made in Italy. It's a baked formula just like the Amrezy one, and again, just incredibly smooth without the glitter, without the shimmer. It's just gorgeous. I also think these Milani baked highlighters are great as well. I have 4 different shades. The one that I usually use the most is Dolce Perla, which is number 110. And these, being a baked formula, are very smooth again, kind of what I'm looking for when it comes to highlighters. And this color is beautiful on my skin tone, but they do come in some deeper shades as well. The Essence Pure Nude highlighter is another favorite of mine, especially if you want something that's a little bit more subtle. I've had this one for years and it's still going strong, and it's a very low glow kind of a highlighter. So it just gives a little bit of a sheen to your skin, but nothing too dramatic. I'm sorry, my hand is really dry, but yeah, it's not a dramatic highlight like the others, but it's just as smooth, and again, no glitter particles, which I love. The JCat Golden Soleil Baked Bronzer, which actually to me is not really a bronzer, it's more of a highlight color. This is in Coconut Island. I think they do have deeper shades, but this one in particular is more like a highlight, so I just keep it in my highlighter drawer. And again, the baked formula, I sound like a broken record, but it just is so smooth. And this one is also more of a subtle highlight, like the Essence Pure Nude. It's not as glowy as, let's say, the Revlon one next to it, but it does give just a little hint of a sheen. And same thing with the Hard Candy Baked Bronzer, which so sad they don't make anymore. This is in the shade Tiki, and I also used this as a highlighter for so many years. And this one is so creamy. There's almost nothing like it. It is so beautiful. It reminds me of the Laura Geller baked highlighter in French Vanilla. It's so beautiful, and it has just that little hint of glow to it. The new Tiki version is just a pressed powder. It's not the baked formula, and it is nothing like this at all. So don't even bother getting that one that they came out with more recently, because it's not good. let me just wipe these off really quick so I can just show you a couple more. I didn't really intend to do so many swatches in this video, but as I'm playing with these, I'm just having so much fun. Next up, we have the Master Chrome highlighters from Maybelline. These are also fantastic. I have Molten Rose Gold and Molten Gold. And these also have an amazing formula, very smooth, really, really shiny. I mean, just look at that. That is so stunning. I haven't played with this one in a while, but it's making me want to take it back out again. And I also have the Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighters. I have so many different shades: Precious Petals, Golden Flower Crown, Botanic Dream. I don't even know if they have some of these anymore. Blossom Glow and Bloom Time. Some of these may have been limited editions. I'm not really sure, but I know Precious Petals was like one of the first ones, and I've had this one for so many years now. Let's see. Yeah, again, super gorgeous, just really smooth. So this is why I've kept these around. I had many more highlighters that I've since decluttered just because I didn't think that they were my thing anymore. They were too glittery. This one is the Rimmel London Highlight, and this is in the shade Stardust 01. This one has a formula very similar to the Pixie, actually. Like, it's very smooth. It's kind of firmly pressed into the pan. And again, super intense and beautiful. What else am I missing here? Oh, I have these Milani ones. I don't know if these are made anymore. These are the strobe lights. I'm not sure. I haven't used these in a couple years now. They've just been kind of sitting in the drawer, which is a shame. But yeah, I mean, these are not as intense as the other ones, but definitely smooth, no glitter, which I really like. I guess that's why I held on to them. I have this new Believe Beauty Trio, which I showed in my Sunday haul video just the other day. And this one also is really pretty. I haven't had a chance to try it on my face yet. I don't think it's as smooth as something like the Flower Beauty one. I wasn't as impressed just swatching it. I mean, it seems pretty good. But I think given the choice, I would definitely choose a lot of these other ones than this. It just seems a little bit more powdery. And then I also have the Kokie Strobing Palette, and this is pretty much an exact dupe for the Huda Beauty, not contour palette, highlighting palette, because it has that cream shade right here, and then the 3 powders, and they're pretty much the identical colors. And these are, I feel like, a little bit chunky. They're not as smooth as the Huda ones, for sure. I mean, they're definitely nice, especially for the price that you're paying, but again, I think there are definitely smoother ones like these up here in the top row. These just are a little bit more chunky, a little more powdery. Okay, so I think that does it for the face portion of my drugstore makeup collection. So now let's go ahead and move into eyes. Wait a second, I'm back. I completely forgot to talk about this Flower Day Glow Highlighting Glaze. This is another favorite. When it comes to cream highlights, it's so nice and it's just really subtle. So if you like more of a subtle highlight and the cream just looks so natural on your skin, it just kind of looks like you're glowing from within. You just kind of pat it in like that. And again, it has no shimmer or glitter, so it's just a really gorgeous highlight. It comes in a couple of colors. This is the lightest one, and I really love this one too. So anyway, now let's get into the eye products. All right, guys, next let's talk about eye products. So before we dive into palettes, I just want to quickly show you my eyeliners, which are in this drawer, and also any eye primers that I find that are drugstore. And then also eyeshadow sticks and single eyeshadows. And then in this drawer, I have brow products, mascaras, and lip products, but we're going to get to those much later in the video. Okay, so starting with liners first, I have the LA Girl Shockwave liners. They sent all of these to me a while ago. I think there's lip liners in here too, but the eyeliners are just so good. They remind me a lot of the Urban Decay 24/7 eyeliners. You hardly have to put any pressure on them, and they're super easy to draw on. They're really, really creamy, but yet they last a super long time. Another eyeliner that's pretty much identical to these is the Kokie eyeliners. These are also really amazing. As you can see, I use the black one the most. because it's just this little stump right now. But just like the LA Girl ones, just really easy to draw. These are waterproof, the Kokie ones. I believe the LA Girl ones are too. So very long lasting on the eyes. I would say grab whatever one is most convenient for you. They sell Kokie at Rite Aid and then LA Girl at CVS and Ulta. I do have a coupon code for Kokie's website for 25% off. So if you're interested in these, definitely go that route because you'll save a lot of money with that code. But I just, these are beautiful. Like, look at this one. This one's peacock green. If you like colorful eyeliners, they're just gorgeous. And then when it comes to liquid liners, I only have two at the moment. I have the Maybelline Hyper Easy liquid liner and then the LA Girl Jet Setter liquid eyeliner. Both of these are amazing. They both have brush tips, which I am a huge fan of. I'm not as big into the felt tips just because the brush kind of moves with the curves of your eye. So I love that. I've been using the LA Girl one the most lately because I feel like you can draw a little bit of a skinnier line with it. I love the tip on it. It's so good. And again, it lasts me the entire day. And then when it comes to eyeshadow primers, I only have one drugstore one at the moment. And this is the Jason Wu Prime Eye from Target, but I do really love the Milani eye primer, and I also love the one from Ulta brand as well, if you can call that one drugstore. I think that one is amazing, but this one is really good. It actually has a lot of pigment to it, so it cancels out everything on your eyelid, and the bright base really helps eyeshadows to pop. So I do like this one a lot. This one's in the shade Light. It does come in deeper colors as well. So if you have a deeper skin tone than me, you'll definitely want to get one of those. But I really like it. I also like how it dries down so it doesn't stay sticky or tacky, and you can blend eyeshadows over it really easily. So anyway, that's my liner and primer collection. And next, when it comes to brows, there's only a couple of drugstore brow products that I have at the moment. I am using some high-end ones as well, so this isn't everything that I have. But for the moment, I've been using a lot the Joa Brow Down to Me Precision Brow Pencil, and this is in the shade Medium Brown. I really like this one. It has a tiny little tip to it. And this color, while it's not ideal, it's a little bit warmer than I typically go for. I like the formula of this one. It's not waxy and it's just really easy to draw on. I don't have to press too hard. So I've been using this one. Once I use it up, I'll either look for a different color that's maybe a little bit cooler in tone, or just stick with something else. But right now I do like the formula at least. And then the Jason Wu brow pencil. This is called Groomed by Mr. Wu. I hate the name, but love the brow pencil. This color is amazing. This is exactly like the cool tone brown that I really like, and it's the medium shade, I believe. And also this one too, it's not waxy, so it's just really easy to use. It has little spoolie on the end as well, just like the Joa. And then when it comes to brow gels, I have a couple that I'm using from the drugstore. The first one is the Flower Beauty brow gel in the shade Light Brown. This one has like little fibers in the formula, so it's really nice, but again, a little bit warmer than I would really like for it to be. I have the e.l.f. Wow Brow. I actually really like this one a lot. This one is in the shade Neutral Brown, which is a much better color than the flower one, if I can get a little bit of it out. And this one actually has fibers in the formula as well, but you can see how it's definitely cooler tone brown. This brow gel is actually really, really nice. I like it a lot. And this is just my old favorite that I always have repurchased so many times. It's the Essence Make Me Brow, and this is in shade number 1, Blondie Brows, which I've been using this color since I had blonde hair, so it might be a little bit lighter for me, but I like how it's cooler in tone as well, and it's just an all-around great brow gel. It's super affordable. So anyway, this is all I have for brows. And then for mascara, I have quite a few open right now. These I just got, but I haven't opened them yet. I'm just trying to use up some of these before I open them, but Essence had sent me all of their Lash Princess versions along with the new one that they have. So this one was the Lash Princess Curl and Volume Mascara, which to be honest with you was not my favorite. I wanted to love it because I love Lash Princess, but it just didn't give me enough length and volume. So I'm not going to be repurchasing that one. I do love the original Lash Princess, the False Lash Effect one. It's amazing. One of my favorite mascaras of all time. I just got this one from number 7 very recently. It's called the Full 360 Ultra, and I actually am liking it. I think the brush is a little bit thicker than I would normally go for. I like really skinny mascara wands, but I think the formula is pretty good. It gives a lot of volume and also it does not smudge on me, which I love. The new Oma by Sharon C that I got at Walmart, this one is also really nice and it doesn't smudge on me either. I like this one. I don't love it, but I think it does give pretty good length and volume. I like the brush on it too. The e.l.f. Big Mood mascara. This is another one I was very impressed with. Again, it has a really giant brush, which is not my favorite, but I like this more than any mascara that e.l.f. has ever come out with. I think it's good, but again, not great, not like my absolute favorite mascara I've ever tried, but it's definitely the best one that e.l.f. has at the moment. I have my Warrior Princess from Flower. This is one of my all-time favorites. I've repurchased this one multiple times and I just love it. It gives great length, volume, and it's long lasting. The CoverGirl Supersizer is another long-time favorite. I've repurchased this I don't even know how many times. This is probably the longest lasting mascara in my collection. I'm not crazy about the wand, but it does give tons of length and volume, and it lasts like a waterproof, but it doesn't dry out your lashes or make them crunchy, or it's not super hard to remove. So I really like this a lot. And this one from Rimmel, the Wonder Extension, they sent me recently, and I've been using it. It does give pretty good results, but it's a little bit goopy, and I find that it smudges on me, so I'm probably not going to be repurchasing this one either once I'm done with it. So anyway, that's my drugstore mascara collection at the moment. And then next up are my single eyeshadows and eyeshadow sticks. I don't really have as many single eyeshadows from drugstore brands as I do from, let's say, Colourpop or indie brands or some high-end as well. So I really only have a couple. First are these Essence Melted Chrome eyeshadows, and these are actually fantastic. They're only a couple of dollars. They're so pigmented. They remind me a lot of the Hourglass Scattered Light eyeshadows. Aren't they so pretty? I don't find myself reaching for these as much as I should. I mean, they're so beautiful, but I usually reach for palettes. It's just a little bit easier for me. And then we have the Koki Metallic Shadows, and these are actually really cute. They're a duo, so you have a cream in the top portion, and then in the bottom you have a loose powder. What they recommend is usually to put down the cream first and then layer the powder on top. That's usually what I do, because with a loose powder, the cream kind of helps it to stick a little bit better. So I usually just tap some into there and then just apply it right on top. And these are super pretty. I feel like this is the most neutral of them. They have some really funky colors, like a bright green and everything, so they're really beautiful. And then I have two cream shadows. I used to have so many more, especially of the Maybelline Color Tattoos, but they just dry out over time. So this one is the Revlon Cream Shadow. I love using these as just a one and done on really light makeup days. If I just want a little shimmer on my eyelids, nothing too big. This one, by the way, is called Praline. And then the Color Tattoo is in Socialite. I actually like this one a little bit more than the Revlon. I think it just makes a little more impact. All right, and then moving on, I have these CoverGirl True Naked Queenship Shadow Sticks, and I don't believe they make these anymore, which is such a bummer because they're so good. They were really, really creamy and easy to draw on. Like, look at that. They reminded me so much of the Laura Mercier Caviar Sticks for a lot less money. And they were just really nicely pigmented. Now they've replaced them with these, which I just got recently, and they're not good. These are the creamy eyeshadow stick. So I don't even see the shade names. Oh, here we go. It's really hard to tell. I liked how these had the actual shade color on the cap. These, I have no clue. I just have to kind of look at them. But I'll show you, like, this is the shade Shining Star. And these are so sheer. Like, they hardly show up. And they're just full of glitter. Like, it's just, no, they're not good. So I'm really disappointed that they switched these out for these, because I just am not impressed at all. Next up, we have the Flower Beauty Scribble Sticks. I have 4 different shades of these, and these are awesome. They can be used on your eyes, your lips. I use them on my cheeks sometimes, and they're a really nice formula. They have a matte finish, but they're not drying at all, and they do last a really long time on your eyes. This is Tickle Me Pink. I use this one on my cheeks and lips a lot, and then some of these deeper ones I tend to use more on my eyes. Like I've used Tickle Me Pink on my cheeks and lips, and then I'll put like this one on my eyes and kind of smudge it out a little bit. This one is Plumsicle. So they just are so pretty and really easy to use. Also, e.l.f. has their No Budge shadow sticks. These are also really good. I have some in the new packaging and then a few in the older packaging. I made a really pretty eye look with these in a video a couple months ago. I love this color in particular. This is Blue Steel. It's kind of like a grayish blue, but again, just like the CoverGirl ones, the old CoverGirl ones, these are really nice and creamy and they blend really nicely. So anyway, guys, that is my cream eyeshadow collection. All right, so next let's move on to eyeshadow palettes, and this is the first drawer I have with drugstore stuff, and I did do a whole eyeshadow palette video collection that just really focuses on these back in February or March, so I'm just going to go through these kind of quickly and not spend too much time on them. So first up, I have these little 6-pan palettes from Joa. I really like these a lot. These are very much like other K-Beauty eyeshadows in that they're not super pigmented, especially when it comes to the shimmer shades. The shimmers are kind of more like those toppers or a really light wash of color, while the matte shades I do think are very creamy and velvety, but I think it's mostly the shimmers that some people may be disappointed in. But I do like these, especially if I'm just going for a more subtle look. And then I have some NYX palettes. I have the Ultimate Utopia. To be honest, I haven't used this too much. I know a lot of people love this, and I really wasn't super impressed with just the pigmentation. I love all the colors in here. I think it's a beautiful palette, but I just felt like the mattes kind of blended away and the shimmers weren't quite as impactful as I was hoping for. But I definitely need to take this out and play with it a few more times before I make up my mind. I also have a couple of older NYX palettes that I just really like, so I hung on to them. The first one is the Lid Lingerie palette. I just thought their formula back when these were made was so good. It was so impressive, especially for drugstore. This one's an all matte mini palette. And then we have their Perfect Filter palettes, which I also thought were really great. There's one in particular that doesn't have a good formula, and I think it's like the gray and blue one. That one, I feel like the formula was awful, but the rest of them I think were so amazing. This one was Rustic Antique with the warm tones. This one was Golden Hour, I think. Yep, Golden Hour. And then this one was Olive You with some of the greens. This is so pretty. It kind of reminded me of Subculture a little bit. Okay, so this is my second drawer of drugstore palettes, and there's kind of some mixed brands in here. The first one is the Pixi Natural Beauty palette, and I like this one because it has some cooler tones. It's really pretty. I don't hear a lot of people talking about Pixi's eyeshadows. I don't think they're like the absolute best formula, but I think they're pretty decent. Next up, I have these two palettes from Koki, Pure Magic and Arabian Nights. I do think these are probably the best formula that Koki has. They had those artist palettes, which I did have, but I just wasn't crazy about the formula of those. And I felt like these were just a lot more impressive. I'll show you quickly. Just a swatch. I mean, I thought the shimmer shades were really rich and buttery and foiled, and I thought the mattes were really nice as well. So that one was Arabian Nights, and this one is Pure Magic, which is really beautiful. I also have a couple palettes from Maybelline. I have the old Lemonade Craze and Soda Pop. These are so old. Oh my gosh. I don't even know if they make these anymore. But I loved them back in the day. Now, I would say with all of the really good eyeshadow formulas at more affordable prices like Colourpop and BH Cosmetics, I think I would probably not love these as much anymore. But I mean, I just hang on to them for nostalgia, I guess. And then we have the Nudes of New York palette. I think this is probably Maybelline's best formula. I thought they did a great job on this. And actually, it's a really good dupe for Soft Glam from Anastasia. It's very similar. Next, when it comes to Flower Beauty, they have all of these palettes, which I think some of them are gorgeous, like this Sugar Rush one, but the formula is not my favorite. This one also, Suns Blazing, so pretty, right? But they're just kind of crumbly and really like too powdery, too blendable. They kind of blend away on your eyes, and I feel like they don't last. So it's a bummer because I love everything Flower, but I just think that their eyeshadows need a little bit of work. Except for these. I think these little quads that they have are really nice. I have the shades Black Iris and Gilded Lily. Next up, we have the 5 in a Box shadow palettes from Catrice, and I did a whole video on these a couple weeks ago, comparing them to the Natasha Denona 5 pans, and I really like these. I think these are really cute and really good formula. Also, the Self-Made Bay palette, I think this is probably Catrice's best formula. It's so good. I mean, these shimmer shades are beautiful. They have so much pigmentation. I mean, look at that. And it's really kind of a soft shimmer. They're not super like sparkly or glittery. So if you like more satiny shadows, these are so gorgeous. The mattes are really nice too. And they do have a bunch of other versions of this palette. And then I have these new Pro Slim eyeshadow palettes. I did talk about these in a recent video as well. And these were definitely a letdown. They're not the Self-Made Bay formula at all. These were so dry and powdery, they hardly pick up. They have like no pigmentation to them. Like, look at that. It's really sad. Yeah, like I keep digging into the pan and it's just like, oh, nothing's coming out. So anyway, I was bummed about these. And here's the peach one. They're really pretty and I like the packaging. I love how slim they are. But yeah, those were definitely a pass. All right, guys, for this one, I just pulled the whole drawer out because it is just so full. So let's go through these. It's, again, a couple of mixed brands. And actually, a Flower Beauty palette snuck in here. I have to put this in the other drawer. But I guess I lied when I said Flower didn't have a good eyeshadow formula because this one is one of the best eyeshadow formulas at the drugstore. I wish they would just do all of their palettes with this formula. I have talked about this in a couple of videos now, but I mean, I need to show you the pigmentation of this really quick because it's insane. Like I can compare it to brands like Sydney Grace. I mean, look at how effortless it is. It's so gorgeous. So if they would do this in their other palettes, they would be like the best at the drugstore, hands down. Highly recommend picking this one up. All right, moving on, we have the Rimmel Magnifies palettes. So these come in a bunch of different colors. I used to really be crazy about these, but again, I think drugstore formulas have improved a lot since these came out. So I still think that they're good. They're easy to work with. I don't think they're the longest lasting shadows. I would recommend using a primer under them for sure, but we have the Thunderstorm one. This is the Color Edition. Jewel Rocks is probably my favorite color story. I just love this one. It kind of has a Southwest vibe. It's so pretty. This one was one of the first ones when they came in different packaging. This is London Nudes Calling, so the name's on the back of that one. And then we have the Nude Edition, which is kind of similar. Spice Edition, this one also was a pretty good formula. I really liked this one a lot. We had the Rainbow Edition. Electric Violet, which was pretty, but they didn't do the cool tones well in this one. I just felt like the formula was lacking a little bit. And then we have the Reloaded Edition, Crimson Edition, and the Wow Edition. So there's a ton of these palettes, and like I said, they're $7, so they're really affordable, and I do think the quality is decent. So let me just quickly show you like a little swatch. I mean, I think the shimmer shades are really pretty. This one doesn't really have a lot of mattes. Let me see. But I mean, you know, they're decent. They're definitely workable. And like I said, over a primer, they would be even more intense. Next up, we have Wet n Wild. We have their Color Icon 32 pan eyeshadow palette. I believe this was limited edition. I don't think they have it anymore, but this was a really nice one. But this was their older formula that I actually liked, like this type of formula. The new ones, not so happy with at all. I know some people either love them or hate them. I've seen both. I'm definitely in the disappointed camp though with the new ones. I don't know. I feel like they are too powdery and just not pigmented enough, and the matte shades, while they feel really nice and soft, I think they just kind of blend away on my eyes. Like as you blend them, they get so sheer, and then you have to keep packing them on again and again. Like you see how much that blends out? It just blends to nothing, but it looks really pigmented when you first swatch it. So I feel like swatches of these tell a completely different story than when you're actually trying to apply them to your eyes, because they do swatch pretty well. So anyway, let me just show you all the colors that I have. So in the older ones, I have Stop Playing It Safe, Rosé in the Air, which is a Modern Renaissance dupe, Comfort Zone, which is a copy of the original Comfort Zone, but with 2 additional shades on the end there. Then we have Cosmic Collision. That was a pretty one. Coffin Break, which was a Halloween edition. VI Purple. I thought this was very similar to the Natasha Denona Lila palette. The Boo Crew. This was another Halloween edition. Not a Basic Peach. In the Smoke. This was another Halloween one. My Glamour Squad, which is a really good soft glam dupe. And then Nude Awakening, which was a little bit more cool toned. And then we have the new ones. I actually had to keep the stickers that were closing them because they don't have any information about the shades on the back. So this one is Heart and Soul. And then this one's called Call Me Sunshine, which kind of looks like Urban Decay Naked Honey vibes. This one is Lights Off. And then Nude Awakening again, which looks a little bit warmer than the previous Nude Awakening, I feel like. And then for the little ones, I have Sundays, My Lucky Charm, Petalette, Camo Flaunt, and Walking on Eggshells. Oh, and also Go Commando. I also have a random Physicians Formula palette in here. I believe the rest of my Physicians Formula palettes are in a different drawer, but this one's the Rosé All Play, and this is very similar to the new nudes from Huda Beauty. It's almost an exact dupe, actually, not formula-wise, but color-wise. I actually did not like the formula of this one either. I should probably just declutter it, honestly. I'm going to put it to the side. I also got this L'Oreal I Go Wild eyeshadow mega palette from Look Fantastic. This was a release in Europe. It never came here, but I loved the color story, and the formula of this is amazing. It almost feels like a baked formula. It's so pretty, though. Like, really nicely pigmented as well. I was impressed. For L'Oreal. I never normally like L'Oreal's eyeshadows, but I thought these were beautiful. I don't know if this is still on Look Fantastic, but isn't this such a pretty fall color story? I love it. I also have this palette from Pop Beauty. This is the Light Show palette. They sell Pop at CVS now, and I wasn't too impressed with this one. I know I talked about it in a video at one point. I think I tried it on actually in the video, and I just felt like, again, these were too powdery. They didn't really stick to my eyelids very well. Oh, and then last but not least, I have the original Wet n Wild Comfort Zone, which I love so much. This formula was the best they had. I wish they would have just stuck with this formula and it would be all good, but sadly, this is never coming back. All right, guys, so next drawer is Essence, Physicians Formula, and Hard Candy. So let's start out with Essence, and the first one is this Out in the Wild palette. I just got this very recently, so I actually haven't tried it on my eyes yet, but I think it looks so beautiful. I'm a neutral lover, so to some of you it might look really boring, but I just love this muted color story. And next we have these princess palettes from the Disney collection, and these sold out so fast, and I was really bummed because so many of you guys were disappointed that you didn't get these, and really I thought the formula was so good on them. So first we have Ariel, and then the next one was Aurora. This one was probably my favorite. I loved this color story. And last was Snow White. This one was a little disappointing because it didn't include any red, or I mean, I don't know. It just didn't say Snow White to me. It was kind of a little boring. It was all neutrals except for the pop of green and the blue, and that was it. I feel like they could have done a little bit more with this one. And even the Ariel, honestly, I love the color story of it, but I think they could have put some blue in here. I mean, it's a mermaid palette. I was expecting blue, and it's just all kind of pinks. So anyway, that's the Disney collection. And then we have the Daily Dose of Love eyeshadow palette, and this is just a cute little 9-pan that I got pretty recently. And I think the formula is decent on this one as well. For Physicians Formula, we have the Gold Vault palette, and this one reminds me a lot of the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette again. This one's a baked formula, so it actually was really nice, and the shimmer shades had a lot of impact. I thought it was really pretty. I never really used this mascara, though. It was a gold mascara, so it was a little weird. And then next are the Hard Candy palettes. To be honest with you, not a big fan of their formula. I keep these around just in case somebody wants a review or if I have to compare it to something, but I don't really use them. They're not my most reach for palettes. This is something, again, I would declutter if I wasn't a YouTuber. So they have a bunch of different color stories. There's one that's all matte as well. All right, and then we have another huge drawer full of e.l.f. and Milani palettes. So this is probably the biggest drawer I have. It's really heavy. But anyway, I'm going to go through these really quickly since there's so many. So first up, we have these new Milani palettes, which I've said quite a few times on my channel, just not a fan of this particular formula. I keep trying them and hoping that maybe I'll like it a little better, or trying them with different primers. But the problem with these matte shades, again, and really it's more the mattes than anything, is that they just blend away to nothing when you put them on your skin. Like, they just almost disappear, and I feel like I have to keep adding more and more and more. I think the shimmer shades are decent in these palettes. I think they have a lot of pigmentation. They're really pretty. But I just, like I said, I keep trying these with different primers, hoping that something will change. So we have Luster Light, Gilded Nude. That one's beautiful. Gilded Terra. This one is such a nice, like, fall color story. Gilded Pastel. And then we have Gilded Coast. This is another beautiful one. Gilded Gold. Gilded Twilight. So pretty. These I think have been discontinued now. I don't even know what they're called. Let's see. Hyperpigmented Eye and Face Palette. It doesn't really say the name of it. Oh, here we go. Gilded Jade. All right, so that was that one. And then we had Gilded Ember and Gilded Violet. And then we have Milani's older palettes, which in my opinion are their best formula ever. So I have the Everyday Eyes palettes in Smoky Essentials. This one is Must Have Neutrals, #1. Basic Mattes. Earthy Elements. I remember this is the one that made them totally blow up with these palettes because everybody talked about them in blogs back in the day. Must Have Metallics and Bare Necessities. And then my favorite, Soft and Sultry. This one just honestly cannot be beat. The formula, like, oh my gosh, these shimmer shades are just so creamy. They feel like high-end eyeshadows. So beautiful. Even the matte shades too. Like, look at the difference. It doesn't blend away. It sticks to your skin so nicely. I love it. I don't know why they got rid of this formula. All right, Bold Obsessions is this one. Also amazing formula. Next we have Most Loved Mattes. They actually redid this palette in the new formula, which I don't know. If you have the old one, I would just stick with the old one. It's the same colors, but this one's a better formula. And then we have Pure Passion, which also was amazing. And then we have more of their Gilded palettes. This is when they first started doing this new formula. So this one was Gilded Desire, and it had 2 highlights down here. And then we had Gilded Rouge, Gilded Noir. These were a mess. I don't know why, but they just kind of went everywhere. Like, look at that. The palettes got so messy. They had glitter in them. I really honestly should declutter these. I don't even think they make them anymore. And here's Gilded Noir. Just not a big fan of these ones. And then for e.l.f., I have a couple of their older palettes. I have the Mad for Matte 2, the Summer Breeze one, which was really pretty. I thought this formula was okay. It wasn't my favorite, but it was decent. And this was the original Mad for Matte. And then we have their newer 18 pan palettes. So the first one is Electric Mood. This one, not a big fan of. I did talk about this in a video recently. I wasn't impressed with the formula. I felt like the shimmer shades were just very lacking. They didn't have a lot of pigmentation. They were almost like toppers, which I'm not really big on. Retro Paradise, I really like this one. I thought the color story was good and the formula as well. Earth and Ocean is definitely my favorite of all of these palettes. I think the formula was great. The color story is fantastic. I just love this one. Opposites Attract. I thought this was another good one. It's kind of a fall color story, and I thought that the formula was decent on this one as well. 18 Hit Wonders. This one's a little brighter. I don't reach for it as often as the others. And then New Classics. While I love the colors in this one, I wasn't, again, impressed with the formula. I just felt like it was a little scratchy. The shimmer shades were not as impactful as I would have liked. So this one's definitely not my favorite. And then last but not least, we have the little bite-sized palettes, and really you can't go wrong with these. These are so cute. They're like $2 or something, and they come in all of these really beautiful colors. I think the formula is really nice on these too. They're kind of like, you know, similar to these 18 pan ones, I feel like. But I didn't have any issues with any of the shimmers in here, so I thought these were really good. All right, guys, last but not least are my LA Girl palettes. And before I just go through these really quickly, I just want to say the formula of LA Girl is so impressive. Yes, these do break easily, so if you order them online, they may come shattered because the formula is just so soft, but they are amazing as far as pigmentation and one of the best at the drugstore, I think, hands down. So first up, I have one of their little 9-pan palettes. This is Keep It Playful, and it's just a really pretty, kind of cool and warm color story, very neutral. This palette, I'm so sad, is discontinued. This was a holiday release, I believe, and it's called Born Exclusive. And not only did it have their amazing formula, but look at the colors in this. I feel bad every time I show this because it's not for sale anymore. You might be able to get it like somewhere on Mercari or something. It's definitely worth it if you can find it. I highly recommend that palette. It's so good. And then next we have This Is Me, which was a really cool tone color story. The Hot Hot Heat palette. This was Aloha Vibes. Then we have the Fierce and Wild palette in Untamed. A lot of these are not available anymore either, which sucks. But then we have the Pro Mastery palette. Hey Hey Vacay in Good Times and Tan Lines. This is a newer one, so this would definitely still be available. Then we had the Desert Dream collection. This one was Backstage. This came out around like festival time, I want to say. This was the other Desert Dream, and it was called VIP. This was another Break Free one called Be You. This is another of the new Vacay ones called Under the Palms. Still have the plastic thing over it. And then the other Hot Hot Heat one in Vacay Every Day. And then this one's called Instinct. And then the last one is the Pro Artistry palette. All right, guys, last but not least is my lip product collection, and I definitely have scaled back on lip products. I know it probably doesn't look like it, but just gotten rid of all the formulas that I wasn't crazy about anymore, like the matte liquid lipsticks. I just don't ever reach for those. So I have a lot of balm type formulas, like tinted balms and glosses mostly, with a few bullet lipsticks here and there that I just really happen to like the formula. So anyway, let's go ahead and start with these Milani tinted lip balms. I forget what these are called exactly. What are you called? I want to say these are called like Shine Fetish or something like that. And this is probably my favorite color, Tied Up. It's really pretty, and they have quite a bit of pigmentation with just a really glossy finish. They feel really nice on your lips, very kind of cushiony and comforting. I'm a little afraid of wearing the darker colors though because they are so emollient. I feel like they might get on my teeth or migrate outside of my lip lines. So you kind of have to be careful with these because they're just a very slippery texture. But ones that are, closer to the color of my lips like this, I'm not quite as worried about. And they did send these to me in PR. That's why I have all the colors. Otherwise, I probably just would have bought one or two for myself. Next up, we have the Neutrogena Hydra Boost Hydrating Lip Shines. These are probably my #1 favorite gloss at the drugstore and one of my favorite formulas out of my entire collection. I just love the Hydra Boost line in general because everything just kind of has this plumping effect. And that's what I really love about this formula is that they just kind of make my lip lines look a little bit smoother. This shade Soft Mulberry is one of my favorites. I just love it so much. And I wear this a lot. They're not sticky. They kind of feel like a liquid lip balm. So I really like the texture of these as well, as opposed to a regular, more sticky gloss. Next, I have these 2 lip glosses from Joa. These are brand new from their summertime collection that they had come out with. We have Milky Way and Sun Bomb, and these are just really nice glosses also. This one has a little bit of shimmer to it. This one's more of a cream formula. And they just, again, are not sticky. They have a nice amount of color to them. They're not super sheer. And they're just really comfortable to wear. They also don't have a scent either. Next, I have one of these Catrice Powerful 5 liquid lip balms, and this is in the shade Raspberry Cream. I haven't worn this too much. I got it fairly recently, and the one time I did wear it, I found it to be very comfortable and, again, kind of like a liquid lip balm sort of a feel. They do have a pretty strong scent, though. It's kind of like a fruity scent, which is not my favorite. Next up, we have the Kokie retractable lip liners. These are my favorite lip liner. I do have all the colors down here because they sent them to me in PR, but I just think these are the creamiest lip liners ever. They're very similar to the eyeliners that I talked about earlier in the video, and my favorite shade by far would be Warm Nude. I also wear Dusty Rose a lot, so I'll show you Warm Nude really quickly. This is just my go-to if I'm using lip liner at all, which I don't on an everyday basis, but they're just effortless. Like you hardly have to press, and you can fill in your entire lips with this like a lipstick. It's so creamy, and that's what I love about it. So I like to sometimes just overdraw my lips a little just to give them some fullness, and then just top it with a gloss or even like just a clear lip balm. And it's amazing. This color is so beautiful. It's the perfect nude for me because it doesn't wash me out. And Dusty Rose is also a beautiful color too. It's very similar, but I find it to be a little bit of a cooler pink. These lip crayons actually really surprised me. These are the Physicians Formula Rosé Kiss All Day Velvet Lip Color. I normally am not a fan of something that says velvet lip color because it sounds like it's going to be drying, but these are actually not drying on me. I have two shades, Pillow Talk and First Kiss, and I wear these also more often than I thought I would, like in videos. They're the most beautiful colors. They're really opaque and they're just very, very creamy. They do have a rose scent to them though, which is a thing that I'm not super psyched about. This is the First Kiss, and this one is Pillow Talk, by the way. So yeah, not a fan of the scent necessarily, but I think they're a really nice formula if you're looking for a matte finish. I usually go for those. Then I have the Milani Fruit Fetish Lip Balm in Pumpkin Spice. I actually got this last fall. I don't know if it's still good. Let's see. It has an 18-month shelf life, so it should be fine. I haven't really worn it since last fall, but I guess it's kind of getting to be time to take it out again. And it's a gorgeous color and it smells like pumpkin spice, so it's a really fun lip balm. I don't know if they still make it or if it was limited edition, but I really like this one. Next, we have the e.l.f. Sheer Slick lipsticks. I really love these too, and I wear these all the time. Particularly, this one's my favorite shade, Golden Pear. I've worn this in so many videos. Whenever I want something that's a warm nude color, I always reach for this because it's so comfortable. It's a little bit sheer, but it has, you know, it adds enough color. And I also really like this one, Black Cherry. It reminds me a bit of Clinique's Black Honey, almost lipstick. It looks really dark in the tube, but it doesn't go on like that because it's more sheer. These are something that I got really recently, so I haven't even tried them yet. These are the e.l.f. Satin or Seriously Satin lipsticks. I have Nectar and Cider. I thought these would be really pretty fall colors, so that's why I just got them. And like I said, I haven't tried this formula out yet, but I was placing an order with e.l.f. and I just decided I would try these out because I hear a lot of good things about them. So that one was Nectar, this one's Cider. Right? Like really pretty fall shades. So I'm excited to try these out. And with the same order, I got two of these Hydrating Core Lip Shines. I know they're not new, but again, it was something that I didn't try because they came out with these, like I think on their own, and I didn't want to place a whole order just for this. So I waited till I was placing a bigger order and then just added some in. So I have the shades Happy and Joyful, which is this one. So let's try these out actually. I'm curious. That's a really pretty color. And let's see, Joyful. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely more on the sheer side, but that's very typical for a product like this. So excited to try these out as well. I also have the Flower Beauty Petal Pout Lip Mask in the shade Berrymore. I just got this in PR very recently. I showed it in my Sunday video last week. And this is just a really hydrating lip mask. I did have this in another color at one point and I used it up. It was so good. And this color is just like a sheer berry, really pretty. All right, and then next we have the e.l.f. Ride or Die lip balms. I have quite a few different colors that I purchased over the past year or so, ever since they came out. And this is Tough Cookie. This is probably my favorite shade, so I'll just swatch that for you guys really quick and you can see the texture. It's very, very thick. Reminds me a lot of the old Bite Beauty Agave lip mask, just how thick and plush it is. It's just beautiful. They do have a little bit of a gourmand sort of scent to them, which I don't mind at all. And they're just one of the most hydrating lip balms I've tried, so really nice. And then next are probably one of my favorite bullet lipstick formulas. These are the Flower Beauty Perfect Pout lipsticks, and then I also have the Petal Pout lipsticks from Flower. So these two are a little bit different. The Perfect Pout are newer. They've come out with these the most recently, and I love the shade Blossom. This is the one I wear the most. And you're probably going to say all of my favorites look pretty similar to each other, which they do. I really just like those Your Lips But Better kind of colors. I don't usually veer too far away from those, but the Perfect Pout lipsticks have a lot of shine to them. They feel almost like a tinted lip balm. And then the Petal Pout lipsticks, which, you know, I've had for years and years now, these are amazing. And these have more of either a cream finish or a matte finish, depending on the color. These are my two favorite colors, Spiced Petal and Naked Blush. Again, when I'm filming videos, you've seen me wearing these just countless times. Naked Blush is like the perfect nude pink. And again, doesn't wash me out, doesn't look too pale. And then Spice Petal, this is actually a really close dupe for Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk shade. It's just a little bit of a warmer pink. And this formula is like so weightless. It doesn't feel heavy on your lips. It's very smoothing on your lips too. So if you have a lot of lip lines like I do, they're just very flattering lipsticks overall. So I love those. I have one shade of the Revlon Super Lustrous lipstick, and that's Rose Velvet. Actually, a subscriber had told me about this shade, and she said she thought I would really love the formula and the color, and I definitely do. It's such a beautiful shade and also just a very creamy formula. So I know the Super Lustrous lipsticks have been out forever, but it's just something I feel like gets overlooked in the beauty community now because it's not like a new and trendy thing, but it's just an all-around great formula. And then last but not least, we have the Essence This Is Nude lipsticks. So I have a couple different shades, Charming, Crazy, and Real. And I haven't worn these a lot. I got them again fairly recently, but I think they're super creamy, really, really pigmented in one swipe. Again, I just tend to default to lip balms for the most part, or lip glosses like the Neutrogena ones, and that's usually what I wear on an everyday basis. So if I'm wearing a bullet lipstick, it's usually for a video. I used to wear them a lot when I used to go to work every day, but now that I'm home, I'm a very just casual tinted lip balm type of person. So anyway, guys, that's my entire drugstore lip collection. Again, if you would like to see a high-end version of this video, let me know down below, and I can definitely do that. All right, guys. Wow. So if you made it this far, thank you so much. That was a really long video, and I really, truly appreciate you hanging in there. If you like collection videos and you'd like to see more, I do have some eyeshadow palette collection videos from the last few years. So I'll go ahead and pop that playlist right up here on the screen for you to check out. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all in my next video. Take care. Bye.